Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today is a bit of a movie slash TV show kind of focused podcast episode. So as you guys know, Cooper is still away on his holiday, and he's enjoying it and loving it, and I'm very jealous of him. So it is just me holding down the fort again. But I am fresh out of actually seeing F1 this morning, and I do want to get straight into it because I want to be concise with what I want to say and try to not ramble too much because I do tend to ramble a bit more than probably a lot of people. I actually am not the biggest fan of F1 racing in itself in terms of the actual sport. I do enjoy supercars and MotoGP to an extent, but Formula Ones I could never really like get into in terms of watching it as a fan and supporting it as like a sport, I guess you could say. So I was hesitant to even think that I was going to watch this film kind of when it got announced. And I did see the trailers. I saw who was directing it. I saw Brad Pitt's in it and other people who were acting in it. And I was intrigued. I did like the idea that it was a fictional story and it wasn't one of like a documentary kind of style type film. I am a big fan of racing movies, and I do love the classic trope of kind of underdog story, which this heavily was kind of focused on, which is probably, if I'm just going to be honest, it probably was the biggest downfall of it in the same way that it was also its greatest strength. It had good emotional aspects to it, but it is something that we've seen time and time again. It is your classic Rocky versus Creed, your Gran Turismo, your even to an extent Top Gun Maverick, which is funnily enough the same director who did this one. And you can tell definitely by the racing kind of cinematography in it and kind of the way it's shot, it kind of looks a bit like Top Gun Maverick, which is a good thing, by the way, not a negative. But yeah, I don't know, like it's a great thing in terms of the story, but it's also something that we've seen before. So it doesn't reinvent the wheel in that sense, but it is something that's still entertaining and it's done well. So it's kind of a conflicting kind of feeling that I have about this film. But the reason why I went on this kind of tangent to begin with is that I actually really love this movie. It kind of got me excited about the intricacies of Formula One, and I know I might get flamed in the comments. I'll probably get even flamed by Cooper because he's an F1 fan in terms of the sport. I don't know if he's seen the movie or not yet, or if he will. But I know some, like Lewis Hamilton did help produce this film, and there was a lot of kind of, I don't want to call cameos, but like a lot of the F1 races in real life were like in the film, and they named them and stuff during the race and everything. So it did feel a bit more lived in that sense that like it wasn't just like a random racing story with the name F1 and with the F1 vehicles. It did feel kind of lived in, and it's kind of been a real world, like like real world, but fictional story. It kind of feels a bit like that, which is good. And yes, there's probably some things that aren't, accurate in terms of the real sport. I even watching it, I'm not going to do spoiler talk about it, but there was some scenes with Brad Pitt's character. What's his name again? Sonny Hayes or something like that. It's a bit of a unique name. That I thought that he did within the race was probably a bit too fake. I don't know if he would get away with a lot of the stuff he did, and I could be wrong. I'll be happy to be proven wrong in the comments and people to enlighten me about it. But while watching it, I'm like, I don't know if you'd be able to get away with this. But as I said, I'm not the biggest F1 fan, so who knows? It could be legit. But obviously, even some of the tires and stuff when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna wait," and the classic, delay the pit stop, Lightning McQueen style and everything. Like, I don't know if all this would be real, like even possible to happen. But in terms of enjoyability and in terms of the drama aspect of it, it was so fun. It was so good. It was actually a pretty full cinema watching it as of today. It's been out for it's maybe been out for almost a week. So it's not what I would call like brand new in terms of out in the cinema, but there was still a lot of people in it, and there was a lot of people getting excited about a lot of the moments. There was good acting in it. I definitely like the young rookie, Damson Idris, I think his name is, the actor, by the way. He was great. I loved him in it. I love his relationship with his mum, and I loved how he had a connection with Brad Pitt's character. However, I did feel at times it felt kind of, I wouldn't say cheesy, but it kind of like there's a point in the film where something happens and then you don't really see them connect a bit until later. And then it's kind of like when they come back, it's like it's a bit. What's the word? It's a bit. It doesn't feel natural the way they kind of go back into their conversations and everything, and it kind of feels forced upon it. And you don't really get much of what Damson Idris's, or JP, I guess his nickname is in this, his character is feeling like in these certain situations. So it makes it a bit up in the air in terms of some sort of dialogue choices and some sort of scene changes. I definitely think this movie probably goes maybe 10 minutes over what it probably needs to be. It does drag towards more of the later end, but then the intense race scenes, the great Hans Zimmer score, pretty good soundtrack overall. Obviously, there's some big names in the soundtrack, but once again, they were only kind of used in like a montage scene for like a second, and then it changes to another song. It was not as impactful as a Hans Zimmer score, I think, in itself. Cinematography was great. Obviously, it makes you feel like you're in the action, but that is also how that director kind of shoots kind of his films recently in terms of like Top Gun Maverick. It felt like you were in almost a cockpit with him, same as in this sense, I guess you could say. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's gotten me excited to get into the F1 sport like some reviewers have been saying, but it definitely is an entertaining flick. And look, it's probably like Gran Turismo has a similar, it's almost like beat for beat the same, just not with the F1 thing. And it's obviously based off the racing game and everything too. It's almost beat for beat the same. And I know it's going to feel like that because they're both racing type underdog stories. But yeah, after watching that only like a couple of years ago and really liking that film as a kind of sleeper hit, this one kind of felt pretty much the same. And yeah, I mean, it was great. Good time. Do recommend seeing it in cinemas if you want that thrill, kind of that great classic underdog tale, like I've been saying. It's a fun time. It's not that detailed in terms of what it does, but what it does it well. So you can't really fault it. I'd probably give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Like it's a pretty good film. Like there's not much more I can say about it, to be honest. It had some intense moments. It had some sadder moments. It had great cinematography, great action in terms of the racing, and the way that they kind of shot it made it very entertaining. Great time overall. Definitely recommend it to people who want to go watch it, even if you're not an F1 fan like me. So yeah, it'd be great to hear your guys' thoughts about it down below. I do want to move into a maybe potential controversial segment or show, I guess you could say. So I opened up my Disney Plus on Wednesday, so a few days ago now. Just for no particular, actually, there was a reason. I was actually going to rewatch Luke Cage. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. But just had the urge to watch Luke Cage again for some reason, because I actually thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, not better than Punisher or Daredevil or Jessica Jones, but still fun. So I was actually going to open to watch that. By the way, tangent, I actually haven't got back to rewatching it now. But I did see Ironheart. The first 3 episodes came out, and I was like, what? I was like, Marvel, man, I know you want to shelve almost this project because you haven't like promoted it whatsoever, apart from when Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio like reacted to the trailer not too long ago during Daredevil Born Again when that was airing. Did not even know it dropped. Literally fell under the radar completely, and it actually kind of makes me sad. I might get flamed again for my opinion about this. 3 episodes in, I watched all 3 of them so far, so it's halfway through their 6-episode season. I am one person to believe that is why was this show needed. In that kind of idea. However, I'm open to anything. There's only been 2 projects entirely where for Marvel, that is in MCU, that I couldn't really stand to finish, but know how they ended. And that's the Marvels and Miss Marvel. And I actually like the character of Miss Marvel, don't get me wrong. I loved her first episode in her show. I thought it was very unique and kind of Scott Pilgrim-y, a bit into the Spider-Verse-y, kind of the way that they did kind of certain shots. And then it just fell short for me a bit. Well, I mean, I wasn't the target demographic. I wasn't the intended audience. I understand that completely. But this show, I actually think it is quite fun. Sue me. Like, I'm actually having a great time with it. I wouldn't say it's anything revolutionary. It's not groundbreaking. It's not what I think so far is needed in the MCU. I don't think it's a particular, like, oh my gosh, thankfully we've got Ironheart or something. Like, no. In Wakanda Forever, she really wasn't my favorite character. She was kind of just there. I kind of forget about her every time I go to watch that film. I just basically watch that film for like Namor and his whole story because I love Namor. He's cool. I've always liked him when I was a kid. Going through like the visual encyclopedias, he was always one that I always liked to read upon. And it's probably why I also like Aquaman and stuff too. DC, I know, but like, anyway, tangent. The show does a pretty good job with its music. I think the music is great. It's fire. The suit that she gets the suit that she has at the start of the show, so the one that we follow with the 3 episodes, is actually kind of clean. It looks a lot better in terms of CGI wise than the one that we got in Wakanda Forever. It's not as high techy, but it feels a bit more Iron Man-y, which is good. Dialogue is still a bit Cinematography is nothing really special. However, the Hood's character and Riri Williams herself is actually quite entertaining. I like their dynamic. I like Riri's arc that she's kind of going on right now, I guess you could say. Like, people are critiquing it, saying they're two-piece, I guess. Maybe some hate comments, review bombs, and just general dislike and distaste for the whole character and the show as a whole without probably giving it a fair shot. So far, I think is far more enjoyable than my previous 2 mentioned projects that I couldn't really finish. And like, look, it's got some cool elements in it. Like, she's very smart, obviously, in the show. She has a way with her technology. I love this is a spoiler. They mentioned it ages ago on when he first got casted, but Aldrin's character, I can't say his last name, the guy who played young Han Solo. His character is actually quite interesting. I think we're going to get a bit more about how his character evolves, especially who he is in the comics. I hope, maybe. I mean, so far, he's a great character, he's a good guy, but he's definitely going to have some moral conflict, I think, with that. I love the AI kind of... Like, AI obviously is like such a big thing in today's society and everything as a whole, but I actually do like the inclusion of it in the story. I think it adds another layer instead of Jarvis or Holiday or Friday, anything like that, in terms of Iron Man's kind of UI. Not Ultron to an extent. I mean, obviously, you know what? Ultron was also good, but the others, Jarvis was cool. I mean, like, obviously everyone still talks about Jarvis in meme culture and just pop culture in general, but I actually really like this Natalie one. Like, and I don't know if it's because it also has emotional character depth with Riri, but obviously it happens in the comics too. And that's her artificial intelligence name. It's an acronym, Natalie, and it's also the name of her passed away best friend, which they did in the show too, which I think has some good elements in it. And yeah, I don't know. It's the way she almost has her anxiety attacks. Riri, this is. Does remind me of Iron Man 3 and kind of any time after Avengers with Iron Man in terms of having severe anxiety and visions and kind of all that pressure put onto him. It gives off similar vibes. And I don't know, I like their relationship with the AI. I think it's cool how it's like almost real in the sense that you just can't like obviously touch the AI or anything like that, but it does have the same characteristics of her past best friend, which is kind of, obviously they mentioned in the show it's like revolutionary, groundbreaking, and it's pretty cool. I like the Hood kind of, I don't know what his motive is for now aside from getting people to sign contracts, and this instance with the contracts has to be something related to Mephisto. And I know everyone's talking about it. Sacha Baron Cohen got casted ages ago in a mysterious role for the show. He does kind of have that facial structure of Mephisto in the comics. I would like to see Mephisto, and I think it will be because all the demonic voices and stuff are kind of deep male-ish kind of vibe. And obviously, at the end of episode 3, left you with Mephisto or some sort of devil character of some sort, kind of exposing Riri in terms of what happened to the John? What was his name? I can't remember when he died, and the Hood's like, But his Hood abilities cool, bending the bullets cool. I think I would like to see more about his backstory, which I hope we get. Mephisto would be nice. Now, this is the issue. I don't know if it's going to be the right time in terms of adding him into this show. I don't know if that's the main crowd attention kind of drawing aspect of it, but introducing such a big character like that in a show which has already been kind of hated on even before it's come out, and not the biggest, I would say, Marvel character in this backlog, it is interesting. It's a very bold choice for them, and I don't know if it's going to work if they show him at the end or just kind of keep teasing who it is with this magical powers that he's working for in that sense. But the contracts idea could be cool in terms of like he's getting people to sign something to like the devil, quote unquote, which always happens, like, you know, signing your life away kind of thing on the dotted line. So it'd be interesting to see. The tech advancements in this show is also pretty cool to see, especially when they did the heist of the underground kind of rich person subway type transportation highway, I guess you could say. But honestly, the music, some of the cinematography is good. I'm not going to discredit it. I think it has some charm to it. I also think it has its own identity to it. Whether it is important or needed for this character to even have a show, and whether it's actually going to elevate in its rating or become worse, I don't know. But as of right now, I'm having a fun time with it. I wouldn't say I'm having the greatest time of my life watching it, but it's definitely something that I'm enjoying. And I thought I would mention talking about it because I know a lot of people wouldn't even know that it's literally out, or people probably won't care about it. And if you don't, up to you. Everything's subjective. Literally, you can do whatever you want with your life, so to an extent. So go watch it if you want. So far, out of the 3 episodes, I will rate them as a whole. Maybe it's probably a solid 6.5, 7. Like it's not revolutionary, it's not groundbreaking, but I'm having a fun time with it. And look, and in today's day and age and everything that's going on, I'm happy that I can enjoy something, even something small from it, or aspects from this thing as a whole. So yes, that's my opinion about Ironheart first 3 episodes, and in a future podcast, I'll let you know my overall thing, rating for it, I guess you could say. Yeah, moving on. So next week, Jurassic World Rebirth comes out. I will be watching also that when that drops on... it's July 3rd, I'm pretty sure, but I think I'm going to watch it on that weekend of July 3rd. I'm excited for it. I wouldn't say I'm overly hyped for it. I don't have high hopes for it. Also don't have high standards for it. So it's something, I mean, I have heard some positive things about it. I've heard that it's kind of plays a bit safe, or it's a refreshing take at the same time. I don't know. I'm conflicted. I didn't really like the Jurassic World movies with Chris Pratt, aside from maybe the first one. Even that to an extent was a bit, like there's a lot of errors with it, or a lot of things I didn't really enjoy myself personally. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I am not overly anticipating it, but it's by the director's Gareth Edwards. I love his Godzilla movie, and I like what he does as a director. So it would be interesting to see how it's kind of shot. And from what I can see in the trailers, CGI looks almost top notch, almost too realistic. And yeah, I'm gonna go in and kind of blind and just go for it and see if I like it or not. So that's a bit of a small little opinion about that coming out soon. And now to conclude today's podcast, Marvel versus DC. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I love Marvel and DC. There's definitely no competition between them. However, both Fantastic Fours had a new trailer just the other day, and Superman's been obviously getting a bunch of TV spots and their final trailer not too long ago too. I want to mention Fantastic Four first before I talk about Superman to end today's podcast. I am actually not that excited for Fantastic Four. I was when it first got announced. I was when I first saw some teasers, or I guess the teasers of it. I'm still not sold on Mr. Fantastic as Pedro Pascal. I know the vibe and the time period and the retro futuristic kind of vibe they're getting from it, but I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm really excited for it. Like, I'll be honest. Like, it's almost like it's almost like a story I've seen a million times from them, and I'm not just talking about Rise of the Silver Surfer with that kind of whole situation. I'm talking about in comics. I don't know if I really care about seeing this on the big screen. I like in terms of seeing that come into the MCU. Like, I'm more interested to see how they interact in terms of Doomsday and in terms of onwards after this movie. I have no interest in terms of their world. I could not care less if it gets eaten by Galactus or consumed by Galactus. I couldn't even really care as of this right now point for Franklin Richards. As a character as a whole, this whole podcast is a hot take for me, honestly. I don't really care about his character in the comics. I don't. I know who he is. I know what he does. I know how significant he is in terms of the grand multiverse and everything. But I'm kind of sick of multiverse right now. I really could not care less. Like, I don't know. I am sold on Johnny Storm right now. Human Torch. You know what I mean? Like, he looks interesting. He looks like his character. They all look like I feel like they're all going to portray their characters well, but in terms of the story and in terms of the cinematography, I don't know. I don't know if I can get like if I'm that excited about it. Like the theme is goated. I'll give them that. Michael Giacchino's theme is actually sick, and you know, it gets me goosebumps every time I hear, you know, the Fantastic Four. Like it's great, but in terms of my excitement for the film, it's not up there. I don't know. It could just be me, but I have a weird feeling that I'm generally not that excited like everyone else is, I think. So let me know down below if you guys are too, or if you are the opposite, like heavily excited, or if you think it's going to be the greatest superhero film of the year, or I don't know. Like as of right now for me, I'm just not that sold. I don't know what it is. But actually no. But before we go into Superman, there's actually one other thing I want to mention. There has been some, I'm not going to show anything because I don't want to get, you know, my video taken down or anything like that. But there has been some updates, I guess, with the Punisher show, and also the Punisher being in the new Spider-Man Brand New Day film. And with the I don't know if he's the director of photography, he's had some interesting things. I can't remember his name, sorry. You guys can search this kind of news story up after if you want. But on his Pinterest, which he's now privated, obviously, so I hope he's still in the job, he had some kind of mood aesthetic kind of posts of Spider-Man and how they maybe, or how he maybe wants to kind of shoot this film, and what kind of vibe he wants to give, and had a lot of snow. It had some rainy Spider-Man shots of the silhouette of Spider-Man swinging down or hanging off a building, and he had even a shot. Now this was exciting. A shot of Spider-Man like whipping into the Hulk's head, and the Hulk looked enraged, like kind of his World War Hulk kind of, you know, Berserker Hulk aesthetic and all this kind of stuff. Man, this is getting me excited. I'm not gonna lie. I love grounded superhero stuff. I love grounded content in general. So this is a cool little neat kind of progression of this kind of new Spider-Man chapter that we'll be heading into soon next year, but it probably will get delayed. I could not confirm or deny that right now. But yeah, no, seeing them was definitely a little tease. I don't know if any of that's gonna actually be concrete what we're gonna see in the movie, but I love that kind of vibe that he was kind of, I guess, collecting for his idea on how he wants the film to kind of look, which was really cool. And the Punisher is apparently meant to be in it. That's pretty sick. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters. So, I mean, like, it's going to be great, hopefully. I don't know how he's going to be in there with Hulk and Spider-Man 2. Might be an interesting kind of relationship between all three of them, or even just a few of them, a couple of them together. But, yeah, so that was a little cool tidbit that I wanted to just put out to you guys too, to, you know, get your thoughts on that, obviously, down below too. And yeah, to conclude this podcast today, I would like to mention I am so incredibly excited for Superman. I can't lie. Everything I see about Superman just gets me more and more excited. There is some interactions, I guess, with some recent clips that probably aren't too I wouldn't say, like, I don't hate some of the clips that have been shown. Like, some people online are being like very advocating that it looks cringy or it doesn't fit Superman or anything like that. That's not how I feel about it. It's just, maybe it feels a bit weird out of context of the film as a whole. And that is, yes, the dog scene when he's yelling at Lex Luthor, which I do like, rage baiting Lex Luthor. That is kind of the Lex I picture, a smart, conniving, rage baiting, hateful man. So I do like the vibe of that that's coming off. I have heard of, and I have read the early reactions to some of the celebrities and people who have seen it. There's mostly positive. There's some few on the fences, and there was one person that someone mentioned, John Campion, maybe, I don't know, that didn't like the film and said it was messy, convoluted, and all that kind of stuff. But look, one person you have to take it with a grain of salt, realistically. And also, people love the Flash movie. I, as a Flash fan, one of my favorite superheroes in my whole, you know, existence, I did not like that film. I did not like that film at all. So, and people saying that was the greatest superhero movie of all time. So, yeah, I'm not going to take any critic or any kind of person's perspective on a film until I watch it myself. And I know the director of photography or cinematography is the Flash one from for Superman, and that's why some scenes might look a bit funky, but that's also the way that they're shooting that, and same as James Gunn's kind of style with Guardians and especially Adam Warlock's flying scenes and everything like that too. I like over stylized. I do. I didn't really like it in The Flash as much, but that's also because I didn't like the actor of The Flash and his portrayal of The Flash, and I also didn't like his running scenes or suit or storyline for that matter. So yeah, there's a lot of issues with the Flash movie about that, but I do think this is now DC's time to kind of step up, and obviously with Superman, it needs to be a hit. I'm one of those people where, you're reading the comment sections of TikToks, YouTube videos, anything is Superman related. I want this film to succeed so badly. I want this film to be the start of this new DCU era, and because DC objectively to me is better than Marvel in terms of its characters and its storylines, I want it to succeed. I'm really excited for it. It's my most anticipated film of this year, probably, and I am definitely more excited for it than Fantastic Four. So, in terms of hype level and in terms of what I've seen so far in the trailers and everything, and what I've heard from even the Fantastic Four preview kind of screenings and stuff, I am definitely thinking DC is winning this one. But we're not going to compete. I'm saying that out there for the fun of it. But to wrap up this, I guess you could call it movie flick kind of podcast chat. I guess me rambling about nonsense as usual. The Batman 2 script has finished from Matt Reeves and his colleague, which I can't remember his name. They put a post of that on Instagram, which is quite funny after how James Gunn was almost like on his back for getting a script in. So it'd be interesting to see what that script is and what it involves, who's the villains and what direction they're going in with it. And I hope it gets going sooner rather than later, because Robert Pattinson is only getting older and I'm getting older too. I want to see these films now, so that would be ideal, but don't rush greatness, and his first film was one of my favorite superhero films of all time, so I am not going to want to rush Matt Reeves himself. But yes, that's it from me today. It probably is a quicker one. I have no idea how long this has gone for, but it probably is a bit quicker than our typical podcast. But I just want to talk about my thoughts particularly about the F1 movie, giving more recognition to Ironheart, and my hype and excitement levels for both DC Marvel kind of projects. So yes, let me know down below, guys, your thoughts on all these topics I have covered today. And as always, thanks for your support, guys, on our recent videos, especially the Jango Fett one I put out the other day. Thank you so much for that, guys. I really do appreciate all the support, and I know Cooper does too. So I'll catch you guys in the next podcast. See ya.